Oversimplified has made learning about history so much fun in the last few weeks. From World War I to World War II, Oversimplified. I've been loving everything so far, and today we're going to look at something that may be a little bit more relevant these days, the Russian Revolution. Welcome back, friends, and a special welcome to all the new friends out there. I'm YoBGS, and I'm really excited because, honestly, I know pretty much nothing about this. I know at that point, this should not be surprising. This should not be news to anybody. But if you like what I'm doing, if you have fun checking out some of these videos, make sure to subscribe. It's been helping the channel out immensely lately. And leave a comment down below, not just about history channels you like, but like some of the other things you may want to see covered, because I'm looking at doing some original videos, and I just want to make sure if I do them, that you would dig them. Now, we know these faces by now. Of course, Oversimplified trademark. Let's get into the Russian Revolution Oversimplified Part 1.
Hey Jimmy, it's the 1800s, an exciting time to be alive.
Agreed.
Why don't you get out there and explore the world? Gee whiz, Mom, thanks. This place is amazing. Where am I? Why, you're in France, my boy. Here we come up with wacky new ways of running a country. Liberty, equality, fraternity. Whoa, welcome.
Equality? First of all, who is this cosmopolitan young man? And second of all, I would say America is the place we came up with a very funky way of governing.
Liberty, equality, fraternity. Whoa, welcome to the United Kingdom. Here we invented the train. Oh, aboard!
This guy's face. First of all, platform 420, you gotta dig that. Like, I forgot from some of the more serious stuff I've checked out that Oversimplified is so goofily funny.
Invented the train. Oh, aboard! Holy smokes! You're in a German factory, my friend. Here we harness fire and coal to create all these sexy lederhosen. This is incredible. I can't wait to see where I'll end up next.
There's two kinds of people in this world. People who think this is sexy, and people who are wrong.
Where am I? You're in Russia. Have I gone back in time? No, this is just how it is. Are you a
Wait a minute. Is this it is! It's a rare Oversimplified typo. Have I gone back in time?
Back in time? No, this is just how it is. Are you a farmer? Worse. Technically, my landlord owns me, which makes me a serf. I'm scared. You should be, because I haven't eaten in 4 days, and you look pretty tasty. Hey, Jimmy, how are your travels? I hate you!
That's fair?
Russia.
But if I feel like if you look at like a Bill Wirtz, like history of the whole world, every time you look at the world, except for maybe the Dark Ages, that's the case, right? There's cool things going on in some parts of the world, and then in other parts, people haven't eaten in 4 days.
In the 19th century, feudal, underdeveloped, and stuck in the past, while the rest of Europe had been modernizing and improving their citizens' lives, Russia's rulers were taking a different approach. My lord, we're falling behind the rest of Europe. It's time to industrialize, give the people rights, and share your power. Russian czars had no time for pathetic ideas.
Honestly, I know this isn't the parallel that some people were thinking about when it comes to saying it has relevance today, but I'm like, that's kind of what we do in America with education, unfortunately.
Ideas like liberty and modern.
Hence why I don't know anything about history.
Because they were too busy having the time of their lives. While the serfs were breaking their backs in the fields, the czars held all the power, and they didn't have to listen to anyone. Want to run the country like a backwards feudal kingdom while the rest of Europe outpaces you militarily and economically? Go right ahead. Want to keep the people uneducated so they don't get any ideas? There's no one to stop you. Want to keep exporting grain even when there's a massive famine causing hundreds of thousands to die? That is your God-given right. While all of this was great for the Tsar, if you were literally anybody else, it probably sucked because Russia was falling behind. If they were to keep up with Europe, they'd need a strong ruler with some big ideas. Oh look, here comes one now. Hey.
Eep, first of all. Second of all, so basically Russia was governing at this point like I play SimCity. Do whatever you can to get money from people so you can build more fun things.
Everyone, it's me, Tsar Alexander II, and I've got some big news. I'm releasing you all from your serfdom. You're all free.
Yes!
Yep, I'm the best. Oh, there is one thing though. I spoke to your local lords and they weren't happy about losing all their free labor. So as a compromise, you're all gonna have to pay them back a near impossible amount of money for the next 49 years. expect your lives to barely change. Okay, bye. Now I know.
The dude, but hey, how did he know? Except I can't wear fitted hats because I have a gigantic head. The dude who dropped his hoe on the ground.
What you're thinking. This Tsar Alexander II seems like a pretty cool guy. He's trying to reform the country and get Russia on the right path. Everyone must love this guy, right? Wrong. Why does one man get to decide the fate of everyone in the country? This whole system is dumb. Somebody should do something. Like what? Like kill the Tsar. You're gonna kill the Tsar? Well, me? No. I'm busy. I was kind of hoping you'd do it.
What?
Okay. See? The
La Bamba. Also, this is the first, I guess I would say, modern oversimplified I've looked at, where I love the animation for the glasses, the Bamba, all this kind of, it's so cool. I don't know, it just, the little changes that have been made in the last several years.
Okay. See? The people love me. They're throwing flowers, confetti, and high-grade explosives.
Wait a minute, is this? No. Is this the in one of these videos we saw somebody avoided an assassination attempt like that only to immediately drive their car right to where the assassin was, who happened to have a second bomb. I think that might have been the start of World War I. I don't think that was this, but that was what this was giving me big reminiscence of.
Okay, Nicholas, your grandfather has a mild case of being blown up by a terrorist, and he's not looking too hot. So we're gonna go say our goodbyes, okay? No, it'll be too scary for him. Nonsense, it won't be scary at all. We're just gonna say a quick goodbye. Ready?
What?
Boy.
What? What? No, oh my God.
Look at me. The people did this to me. And one day, they'll do it to you! See? Wasn't scary at all.
Tsar was firing his laser there.
So Alexander II was dead, but luckily, they had another Alexander lying around, Alexander III. And he felt his dad's reforms had weakened the Tsar's authority. Russia was massive, and as a result, had many ethnic minorities. Non-Russians, more...
Let's see, Ukrainians, Poles, the Tatars, Mansi, Kanti. Huh.
Interested in their own cultural heritage than in loving me? Isn't it great? So much beautiful culture and diversity in our great nation. Alexander thought all these minorities...
Tribalism, and most of this isn't Russian now. It's, as I start to look at this again, obviously not over here. Most of that stuff not... This is where you get all the stands, right? Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan.
In our great nation. Alexander thought all these minorities should be a little more Russian, and thereby loyal to him. So he repressed religious minorities. He repressed non-Russians. He introduced the Okhrana, a secret police force that repressed anybody who thought having a Tsar was dumb. If Alexander II was the great reformer, Alexander III was the great repressor. Now that's how you run a country. Hey, Dad? Ugh, great. It's my son Nicholas, who I like to call a girly girl because he's so weak and pathetic. When are you gonna
That was actually a true thing!
Grow up. You still look like a girly girl to me. But Dad, I grew a beard. Yeah, an ugly girly girl
To be
beard.
fair, I mean, if you look, the beard, if we're looking at the beard volume here, you gotta file this under girly girl. Also, I like that he has a portrait in the back. He had a portrait of him grown up before he actually grew up. I'm starting to think this isn't accurate.
If Nicholas was to one day be Tsar, he needed his dad to teach him how to run the country. But his dad instead suggested that Nicholas go somewhere else. So Nicholas went to Japan, got an edgy dragon tattoo, had his head sliced off by a policeman, and then came home. Now will you teach me how to rule? I suppose it's time. Okay, there's a lot you need to know before becoming Tsar. Uh-oh. What? I've got kidney inflammation. Ow.
I was not expecting the face.
Oh, no. Upon his father's...
You know, again, I know this isn't the thing that is relevant to nowadays, but we as people really do a crap job of preparing other leaders, or the next generation of leaders as a whole, it seems like. Because the people who get the power, they want to sit there until the day they die. So they don't even think about, you know, teaching anyone else anything else, because then they could usurp the throne, and then all of a sudden they, you know, come down with a bad case of inflamed kidneys, and all of a sudden who knows what's going to
death,
happen.
a totally unprepared Nicholas II ascended to the Russian
Look at this. Nicholas even has just this blasé look on his face.
throne. He wasn't a reformer like his grandfather, nor was he a repressor like his dad. Nicholas was Nicholas, timid, easily swayed, and more interested in doing whatever the hell this is. Or this. Or this.
Oh, dude, I know. These are some classic games.
Easily swayed, and more interested in doing whatever the hell this is.
Yeah, he wanted to play around a leg holding.
Or this.
You know, he wanted to, can't tell you what that's, well, this is the big spoons in a drawer while the ladies go shopping.
Or this.
So Nicholas wanted to be YouTube's first prank channel, I think.
He wasn't ready to rule, and he himself admitted it, saying, "I'm not yet ready to be czar. I know nothing of the business of ruling." Bit of an awkward time to bring it up.
Yeah, that's okay. I know nothing of the business of history, but it's the primary driver of my YouTube channel.
However, Nicholas firmly believed that he was chosen by God to be Russia's big daddy. And while he doubted his ability to rule, he was going to give it his best shot. And hey, who knows? Maybe he wouldn't be so bad after all. To get things off to a good start, Nicholas promised free pretzels and beer to a huge crowd in Moscow to celebrate his coronation. So enticing a proposition to starving peasants that the ensuing stampede left nearly 1,500 people dead.
Oh dear God, I didn't even think about that. Because it is the late 1800s were the time when literally everyone in the country would come out to a coronation, and most of those people hadn't eaten in 4 days.
What the hell happened? We're not sure, but you're scheduled to go party with the French at 8 o'clock. Shouldn't I stay here out of respect for the people? When have Russian czars ever respected the people?
Deuces.
Nicholas's decision to go party with the French immediately
Tag yourself, I'm this guy back here. Although the DJ's pretty awesome.
tarnished his image. Some were calling him Nicholas the Bloody. The czars had been partying hard at the expense of the people for long enough. They'd emancipated the serfs, but failed to lift them out of poverty. They used their secret police to crack down on anyone who might criticize them, and they'd failed to modernize and give the people rights, something the rest of Europe had begun doing over a century ago. The rule of the czars was quickly becoming outdated, and more Russians began wondering if there was a better way. For many, the solution was simple. Just look to the West. Republics, democracies, and constitutional monarchies galore. But a small growing group rejected that for an even better idea, a little something they called communism. Take Vladimir Lenin, an intelligent
Eep. But that's the other thing too, right? Russia and its asset of being so incredibly vast land-wise, I feel like that was also one of its biggest hindrances. No, because as technology modernized, like I think about here in the US and even to another extent places like Australia when it comes to stuff like internet infrastructure and how here in the US where we're covering, thousands of miles, getting the infrastructure in place so that people can have decent modern technological whatnot, I know a very scientific word there, is really difficult. In Australia, aren't like a lot of people, and it's still on dial-up. Maybe my Australian friends can let me know in the comments if that's outdated now. But so my point being, getting information to people in the rural areas of Russia so that they could do something strikes me as a very difficult proposition back
member
then.
of Russia's middle class, and also a massive ill-tempered jerk. If you disagreed with him about anything, he wasn't afraid to call you out. You fat-headed, simple-minded, vapid, cockeyed imbecile! Tenderheart Bear is a far superior character to Bedtime Bear. And he was no stranger to political...
So who was Lenin's favorite pony? Let me know in the Lenin strikes me as definitely not an Applejack guy. I would say Lenin is Lenin's probably a rarity guy.
Rest either. His older brother was executed for plotting to kill the Tsar, and Lenin himself was expelled from university for participating in a student protest. But how did Lenin go from being a middle-class nerd to the arbiter of socialist divinity? Well, to tell that story, we first need to go back a few decades to when a man named Karl Marx wrote a manifesto explaining how capitalism is a system whereby the stinky bourgeoisie oppressed and exploited the working masses, and that only through class warfare could the workers rise up and instate a communist utopia. Now go back forward a few decades to Lenin reading that manifesto and loving it. But
oh my God. Never meet your idol.
Publicly admitting you loved Marx and not Russia's big daddy would get you the cruelest punishment imaginable. Exile to Siberia. Enjoy exile, where you'll live with your wife, chill around town, and secretly write socialist newspapers. Hey, that doesn't sound so bad. And your mother-in-law is going to live with you.
Dear God, no! First of all, anyone who's ever had a mother-in-law that makes you look like this, she don't look like this.
Once Lenin finished his stint in Siberia, he left Russia for Europe, where he was free to hang out with other Russian Marxists and talk about how great communism was.
I knew it!
Now today, you might hear the word communism and think of this. But that's not how intellectuals living under a tough Tsarist regime saw it.
Are you sure? Also, shout out to the talking big mouth bass in the background. What's wrong with... Oh, Ferris wheel deserts, apparently. Tenements.
You might hear the word communism and think of this.
Free healthcare. This is a ghost. Money. Elon... So wait, why is Bernie Sanders blowing up the owner of Twitter? Since that happened today. Just date that video.
But that's not how intellectuals living under a tough Tsarist regime saw it. To them, communism promised a land where all were equal, where workers weren't exploited, and even people like you could get a girl.
Was that a Tiger King reference? That is, in fact, a Tiger King reference.
Workers weren't exploited, and even people like you could get a girlfriend. So Lenin joined a party of Russian communists living in Europe, and he founded a communist newsletter that was smuggled into Russia to try to radicalize the people. However, not everyone in the Socialist Party agreed with Lenin. In fact, they disagreed with him on a lot of issues, and Lenin was so uncompromising that he caused a split in the party. During one conference, a heated debate broke out, and Lenin was unwilling to give an inch. You pig-ignorant, half-witted, fatuous morons! Cereal is a soup! Listen, Lenin, you're a smart guy, but you have no idea what you're talking about.
If cereal is a soup, then is a taco a sandwich? Because it's meat between bread. I mean, and obviously a hot dog would be a sandwich at that point.
We're out of here. All in favor of cereal being a soup? Hey, would you look at that? We're in the majority. So Lenin set up his own faction within the party he called the Majority, or Bolshevik if you're speaking Russian. And the other faction became known as the Minority, or Menshevik. And oddly, the majority were often in the minority, and the minority in the majority. The Mensheviks were less radical, whereas Lenin wanted the Bolsheviks to be loyal to him.
Now this is starting to sound like politics.
And his uncompromising ideas. And if you weren't loyal, well then you're gonna get a big brain beatdown. Mensheviks worried that Lenin's attitude could lead to a one-man dictatorship. But come on, does this guy look like a dictator to you?
That's not
For now,
fair.
Lenin remained in Europe, writing his socialist newspaper and impatiently awaiting an opportunity to overthrow the Tsar and bring communist utopia to Russia. Cool. A free hat. Who the heck are you? I'm definitely not a Russian secret police officer spying on Marxists. Oh crap, I don't want secret police watching me. Then you, my friend, should use NordVPN.
What? Oh my god, he's the Nord logo! Holy, his blue hair is the Nord logo. You gotta hear Adobe Creative Commons. You gotta give that props. All right. Best ad read of the day goes to the Marxist spy.
Do you like having your identity stolen? If yes, you need therapy. If no, $371 per month. And in thought, my channel. So muchos arigatos, mon petit pois.
Oh, polyglot. Here's his link. I'm not gonna watch the ad, but you can go there if you wanna give Oversimplified a little bit of that cash.
Now where was I? Oh yeah. A timid, easily swayed czar, a massive ill-tempered jerk, impatiently awaiting a communist revolution. And revolution was coming, but not in the way Lenin thought. Back in St. Petersburg, one of the Tsar's most skilled and influential advisors knew the country finally needed to catch up with the rest of Europe. Hey Nick, we really got to industrialize, get more factories, and make some, I don't know, textiles or something. Won't that change the social fabric of Russia? Maybe. Hey, isn't it past your bedtime? But I haven't had my milk and snuggles yet. Will you snuggle me?
How badly does he want textiles? And thus 1,000 ships were launched.
Nicholas thought modernization was boring, but he let Sergei do his thing. And do his thing he did. He borrowed some money and got Russia some sexy factories.
Nice.
And you know what sexy factories means. Sexy workers.
Nice.
Dirt poor, sexy workers.
Not
Long
nice.
hours, low wages, filthy disease-ridden factories. Sleep in overcrowded dormitories with all your stinky worker friends. Get your arms ripped off in a freak Russian doll accident. Conditions were terrible. But this growing working class wasn't about to take it lying down. They started to do what workers do best. Strike. Despite Sergei's efforts, people in Russia still weren't happy. Peasants were still poor, liberals still wanted reform, and now the workers wanted better working conditions. And the problem with being an autocrat is that when everyone's unhappy, there's only one person to blame. You.
I'm sorry, but that's the thing about industrialization is then you're taking all those people from the rural areas, like I mentioned, and now you are cramming them together in cities where it is much easier to organize.
The people hate me. What do I do? Ooh, I know. Why don't we find a weak and pathetic nation to go to war with? We'll win easily, and everyone will love me again. Why don't we just try treating the people better?
I think I've found the part. I'm finding some of the parts that are drawing parallels to present day.
As luck would have it, an opportunity for war was forming in the Far East.
And no, I'm not talking about the Pozuka.
Russia wanted to expand its sphere of influence into northern China, and coincidentally, so did Japan. But Japan didn't really want war, so they proposed an idea to reduce the tension. Hey man, we'll let you do your thing in Manchuria if you let us do our thing in Korea. I don't think so. We've got the largest army in the world. What do you have? I'm the Emperor of Japan. I have a giant mecha suit. Whoa.
Fair.
Cool. Nicholas and the boys didn't see Japan as a threat, so they felt they could push Japan around. But little did they know Japan had been rapidly militarizing, and when they launched a surprise attack on a Russian fleet at Port Arthur, everyone was shocked. Nicholas hoped it was an opportunity to win a quick war and regain the support of the people. Nobody seriously thought a puny Asian country could defeat a European superpower, and the Russian people were filled with patriotic spunk. Hey everyone, we're at war with Japan! Hey everyone, we're losing the war.
That was quick.
The Japanese won, an embarrassing defeat for Tsar Nicholas. Russia had enough problems, but now it had been internationally humiliated. The public were outraged. Unrest increased. Nicholas needed snuggles now more than ever. The tension was rising rapidly.
World War I, is that where we're going here?
And Russia was on the verge of revolution. All it needed was one disaster to push it over the edge. And that disaster would come in January 1905 from an unlikely source. A handsome Orthodox priest named Father Gapon.
Wait, really?
Father Gapon was leading workers and their families to the Winter Palace. But this wasn't some violent uprising. It was a peaceful protest. They wanted to deliver a petition to Nicholas, which simply asked for more freedom and better working conditions. The protest was actually so peaceful and respectful that the Marxists thought it was a big waste of time. Hey, Nicholas?
Pleasantly peaceful priest politely petition.
Thought it was a big waste of time. Hey Nicholas, some priest is leading a peaceful protest. Says here they want to give you a petition. A peaceful petitioning priest? I better get out of here. Nicholas had actually left the Winter Palace days earlier, and in his place, they brought in a truckload of troops ordered to stop Father Gapon from reaching the palace. Hello, good sir.
No.
And long live the Tsar. Please, allow me to pass this simple petition to our dear father, Nicholas II. Good day to you too. Please, allow us to respond
Not like
by
this.
opening fire. What began as a peaceful protest ended in tragedy. Imperial soldiers opened fire on the crowd. Around 200 civilians died, 800 more were wounded. All they wanted was the opportunity to ask Nicholas to improve their lives. Instead, they were met with bullets. Nicholas didn't personally order the troops to fire, but as an autocrat, he got the blame. The event became known as Bloody Sunday, and Nicholas's reputation plummeted. Strikes erupted across the empire. Workers' demands increased. Liberals demanded political power. Peasants demanded land. The country was out of control, and the 1905 revolution had begun. Listen, Nicholas, peasants seizing—
To be fair, it had pretty much already started. It didn't— This is like 3 generations of people who are unpopular.
My land and murdering my family I can tolerate, but illegally chopping my wood? That's obscene. And the worse I treat my workers, the more they strike. I don't get it. Everyone relax. As long as the military is still on my side, there's nothing to worry about.
Shout out to the Monopoly,
Sir,
man.
The sailors are starting to mutiny. Well, my life just sucks. With Russia still losing to the Japanese, unrest was—
Emperor, Tsar Nicholas and the horrible, terrible, no good, very bad
growing
day.
in the military, and some sailors had even taken to killing officers. Having the people against you was bad enough, but if the military joined in, it would be game over. To make matters worse, in October, workers and Marxists, including one Leon Trotsky, began setting up local elected councils called Soviets that coordinated strikes and supplied the workers. Sergei could see the writing on the wall. Things were going south fast, and he needed a big idea to save the Tsar. And luckily, he had just that. You see, all these angry people from different parts of society weren't really working together, meaning there was a weakness to exploit. Sergei wrote a manifesto that was
essentially a power vacuum, no? Because if you are able to just promise everyone everything, they're gonna they're gonna appoint you leader.
Give the liberals an elected assembly called the Duma. It took some convincing, but eventually, Nicholas agreed to share power and have his laws approved by an elected assembly. Hey liberals, here's your stupid manifesto. Happy now? We certainly are. But what about these guys? Aren't you gonna give them what they want? Oh, goodness no. I was just gonna kill them. With the liberals satisfied, and after ending the war with Japan, the Tsar brought thousands of troops home, who then dismantled the Soviets, arrested their leaders, and crushed the peasant uprisings in the countryside. And how about that pesky parliament Nicholas had agreed to share power with? Well, he then wrote a bunch of new laws, which basically said, hey, remember that manifesto I wrote and how you guys were gonna approve my laws? Slight change of plan. Actually, I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want, and you guys are gonna shut up. What? The people won't stand for this. People? What people? You know, this is why people don't like you. And just like that, Nicholas had survived the 1905 revolution. But wait, a revolution? In Russia? Where was Lenin? Well, Lenin and his communist pals were—
Well, that's what I was about to say. This can't be the— well, it can't be the end of the story, because I know there's a part 2 to the video. Thought of the day, staying neutral is a big plus. And there's a Swiss Army knife back there. Oh, because they're in Switzerland. Duh. How did I... Dude, how do I see the Swiss Army knife before I see the giant honkin' Swiss flag here in the background? Maybe I was covering it up. I don't know. But I'm amazed that... Like, I'm amazed he was smart enough to even do that, based on what we've learned about him in this video so far.
He tried desperately to radicalize the uprising, but all he could do was watch. As the movements failed to organize, the liberals sold out the poor, and the Tsar outplayed the people. Furious, he believed Russia had missed a great chance for a real revolution. From now on, he felt the only way left was an armed revolution by the workers. Watching the events of 1905 unfold, Lenin learned a lot. The Tsar, however, would prove to have learned nothing. After the 1905
I love the way he's animated and oversimplified. This looks like a face that just isn't... He's just not learning. He just stared off into space.
To have learned nothing. After the 1905 revolution had failed, the Tsar's new top man was Pyotr Stolypin, and he had big ideas to prevent any more chaos. Step 1, reform agriculture. This'll make the peasants love you. And step 2, we'll kill anyone who doesn't. To discourage any more revolutionary ideas, Stolypin began to crack down even harder on the Tsar's opponents.
Stop with the fists on sticks! I mean, I guess that's better than nooses, but still.
Thousands were sentenced to death. The noose even earned itself a new nickname, Stolypin's necktie. I don't get it. Oh, I see, because it goes around my neck. That's so funny. But despite the oppression, many positive reforms were also—
It's the sound effects! You can't in a video make bad people look funny. Again, I'm thinking of the World War II video and Hitler just in the oil field like this. You can't make monsters look funny, and you can't hang somebody and then have them just go...
also being made, and the Russian economy even began to improve. This was a problem for Lenin. If the people weren't suffering, then they wouldn't support a revolution. Still in exile and lacking funds, the Bolsheviks simply weren't in a position to do anything. Luckily, it was around this time that Lenin met an incredibly handsome Georgian with your second favorite historical mustache, Joseph Stalin. Lenin and Stalin met at a communist convention in Finland, and Lenin liked Stalin because he was a real go-getter and was great at fundraising for the Bolsheviks. And by fundraising, I mean kidnapping, robbing, extorting, bribing. Communist convention in Finland, and Lenin liked Stalin because he was a real go-getter and was great at fundraising for the Bolsheviks. And by fundraising, I mean kidnapping, robbing.
Really? I mean, this guy gets it.
Robbing, extorting, bribing, ransoming, assassinating, prison breaking, stealing, bank raiding, executioning, and stealing again. Hey, Stalin.
So, like a mobster? I guess?
The Mensheviks aren't so hot in all this stealing, but we still need money. So the next time you do a big heist, just do it quietly. Okay, quietly. Got it. If this isn't quiet, I don't know what is.
Seriously?
Stalin's wacky antics eventually got him exiled to
wacky antics?
Siberia, but he had established himself as a big balls Bolshevik. However, no amount of Bolshevik balls could stop what was happening. The Russian economy was making a recovery. For the Tsar, things were looking up. This is great. All Nicholas has to do is sit back and not mess anything up. Hey everyone, big news. I'd like to introduce you to my new best friend. He's a crazy, drunken, beardy, horny, scandal-ridden magic wizard man, and he smells like a goat. We're screwed. Rasputin. A dirt-poor peasant from dirt-poor nowhere. But unlike all the other dirt-poor peasants, Rasputin had holy healing powers.
What? I mean, uh, you, you think things are gonna come to an amicable, possible conclusion, and then Magic Man
And when this holy
shows
mystic
up.
wandered into St. Petersburg, people began to notice. He quickly became famous, and word of this mystery man and his healing hands made its way to the royal palace. The appearance of a holy homeless healer was of great interest to the Tsar and his wife. As far as royals go, they weren't that inbred, but they were just inbred enough for their son Alexei to get hemophilia. Or in layman's terms, Mamma mia, that's a lot of blood. Knowing Rasputin
Again, you can't make something as serious as hemophilia out to be.
Mamma mia, that's a lot of blood. Knowing Rasputin could heal people, in 1906, Alexander asked for Rasputin to come and see if he could cure their son. And crazy as it sounds, Rasputin did heal Alexei, possibly by taking him off his doctor-prescribed aspirin. Having seemingly done the impossible, Rasputin...
Oh my god, they had him on blood thinners? What? What? And the thing is, like, right, Rasputin probably didn't know that that's what that did, but still, like, dude, history, sometimes the coincidences are just there, man.
became very, very close to the royal family. But having a crazy homeless wizard man hanging around wasn't a good look for the Tsar, because Rasputin was freaky. Not only was he a big fan of alcohol, but he'd also throw these crazy parties with Russian nobility, where he'd and all night long, and then he'd
Excuse me?
where he'd and all night long, and then he'd his whole head hypnotic eyes, and nobody knew how the goat got on the roof. Initially, the press were banned from talking about
No way. And before, I can feel you typing before you say yes way. Good
Rasputin.
God.
But eventually, the ban was lifted, and the tabloids went to town.
Naughty Nick's hot tattoo. How did the goat get on the roof? Rasputin's wild romp. Spaghetti
The whole thing
chef?
was a huge scandal, and everyone was freaked out that this guy was influencing the Tsar and his wife. Nicholas could have spent this period of relative peace improving his image. Instead, he spent it doing this. But as weird as the whole Rasputin thing was, so long as the economy continued to improve and the people's lives kept getting better, maybe Nick would be okay. Maybe there would be no more revolutions. Maybe this video could even end right here.
But
Or maybe things were about to get worse. A lot worse. You see, the year is 1914, and that means it's time for World War I.
Yup. And then we go to part 2. Although, how are you gonna top this? How do you top part 1? How do you this? How do you top this? What can you possibly... And I've learned with history, never say how much wilder can things get, because things are gonna get a lot wilder, they're gonna get a lot screwier, and they're gonna get very... But this had peasant uprisings, magic men, manifestos out the wazoo, the minority being in the majority being in the minority. And again, that's not, I'm sure that's not even the whole story. This probably isn't even the good part. That's all I know. So we'll check out part 2 probably a little bit later this week, if not next. Again, just let me know if there's any other channels, anything else you want me to cover in the comments down below. Subscribe if you had fun watching this. I know I did. I laughed so hard I may have a headache now, which is a sign of a good video. So take care, my friends, and as always, I will see you, I guess, for the next revolution.